welcome to another TerranScapes video, and in this video I'm just showcasing a couple things that are really modifications of existing pieces that I sell that you might consider when you're thinking about looking at some TerranScapes items. How can they be slightly changed to meet your needs? In this case, the customer wanted to use my modular boards as a display board and asked if I could do a 20 by 20 instead of the two 10 by 20s. And I said no problem. So with a quick change, just really reducing one cut, and I'm able to put together a very inexpensive finished display board for him to bring to tournaments and use to move his models around and display them for show. One of the nice things about doing a one-off piece like this as a large piece is that I can flock it a little bit more liberally. There's no seam in the middle, so it's easy to straddle the two halves, and I added in a little extra dark flock here and there to dress it up just a pinch more without adding any real labor or extra cost to the piece. Just a simple idea, and this is two plain 10 by 20s is $30 total, and so same price for them combined, and that's a simple way to get a pretty effective and attractive display board for your miniatures. And here you see a variant on the waterfall. The waterfall was originally developed as a part of the modular board set, and so it normally sits on a 10 by 10 1/2 inch foam board that joins with the other modular boards. And in this case, the customer was purchasing waterfall and wasn't purchasing the modular board set as a whole, and so I asked him if he'd prefer if it be mounted flat to the table so that he could place it anywhere along the table edge that he liked as a standalone piece, and he thought that was a great idea. So what I did is instead I mounted it on hardboard and then sculpted a bank to capture a pool of water coming off of the waterfall, and that provides a nice standalone piece at the same cost as it would be for the modular board, but doesn't require you to invest into a modular board set to get one really nice aesthetic piece to place against table edge. And I've done a few new things on the waterfall. Now this is a new camera I'm using, so I'm hoping it's going to take close-ups better than my previous camera, so I don't have to switch to another one for macro shots. But when I painted the waterfall, I added in a bit of a murky color underneath, and then covered that with successive layers of white, because often water coming over is a bit dirtier than it looks as when the sky is reflecting in it and you get that nice blue. And so I thought I'd try that out on this piece and add just a little extra color to it to give it a bit more realism. And I'm going to keep playing with these watercolors and trying to pick out something that's going to really achieve as high realism as I can get. One of the other things I did, and I don't think it's going to show up here, is then I have this color called pearl white that I picked up, which is almost inflected with a little bit of a metallic glitter, and I've just hit some of the high points to give it a little sparkle. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to show up at this level, but in person it gives some of those high points at the crest of the waterfall and on a couple of that a little tiny sparkle that I think reflects the light glinting off of water droplets pretty well. I think it's something I'm going to be using in future rough water effects, and I'm going to play with that a little bit more, but just to give you a little sense of some of the ideas that I'm trying to incorporate into my water effects as I continue to try to improve them. And so again, just giving you another perspective, the standalone piece. And one of the other things is that, as you'll notice, I have now effectively removed that cross seam where I was stacking the pieces, is now I stack the pieces this way, and then those seams, let's see if I can find one. Well, I don't know if I can, actually. Maybe, I don't know, they're pretty well hidden now, and so that's really added a lot to this piece. It's a little bit more labor intensive to stack the pieces that way and cut them, but I think it overall produces a much nicer effect. And here's a little shot of the water. I am trying to incorporate undulations in the water now on every piece that I do, and it's proving to be a bit more difficult than I had originally hoped it would be, but I really like the effect, so I'm going to continue to work on that as time goes on. And I just included one miniature here just to give you a little sense of scale, so you could see that it is still a playable piece. Miniatures can still take some of the higher ground spots and be able to, you know, give you some height variations on the gaming table as well. And here is an example of a variation on the fountain that I do. Now this customer, give a little shout out to Glenn. He's been a great customer, great communicator, and we've been working together on some different ideas. I'll show you another one in just a second. But Glenn wanted a fountain, with a blood effect. So I started thinking about that, and I was originally going to do the jutting spouts that I've done, you know, with the water cascading down out of the mouths. But really, blood is, it's pretty thick, and I didn't feel like that was going to look very realistic. It was going to look like red water if I did that, and I thought it doesn't capture a really gruesome effect as well. So what I did is I have the water just sort of burbling out of the mouths of the fountain, and this thick viscous fluid flowing down into the pool below, and you can see I've added in some light ripples because it's a heavier liquid than water. I've only brought the ripples out just a little bit from the edge, just to give it that sense that there is some movement, and then it's settling into this thick vat of gore, for lack of a better term. And then I also went around and added in some moss, and I added in some a little bit of vegetation clinging to the sides, dark colors. I hope the colors come out all right. Again, this is a new camera, and I'm trying some new ideas here with the video, so if the colors look a little off or the lighting is a little bit off, bear with me for the next couple videos as I work to continue to improve them. But I wanted to give it that sense that it's been corrupted and has become, in sort of infected with, I don't know, chaos energy or something macabre like that, and so things are beginning to grow onto it. It's beginning to look decayed and aged, and I've given it a darker wash to give the stone some darker tones, which I think you can see, picking up along some of these sides here, and give it a little bit of a different look that captures the essence of the fountain, but as it's sort of a fountain gone bad. And I think it came out really well, and I liked it so much that I'm going to include it as a regular option in the store, actually, because I think there's been a couple other people who've inquired about fountains with blood, and so it seems like a logical one to include. Of course, again, one of the things I always say is that you can always get things modified. If you really like the spout and you like that look, but you wanted it with blood, that could probably be done too. I'd have to try a couple experiments to see how I can get the red into the spout, but that's my work, not yours. One of the other things I did, which I don't know is going to show up, so that's why I'm trying to get a little angle in the light, is I also went back and added some rivulets on top of the material flowing down to give it a little bit more wavy effect as it's coming down, as though it's running over itself, and give it a little bit of motion. Now, I don't want to shoot with the other camera for macro because it has such bad audio quality, and then I have to dub over that. So I'm going to see if this shows up, and I think you're going to be able to see some of that in the final video. And if that doesn't work, well, I'll go back to the other camera for macros, but I specifically purchased this new video camera. I'm shooting this on a Sony Bloggie, if anybody's interested, and it has, not only is it high def, but it also has a much closer range of zoom than the flip cameras do. Although I loved my flip camera, but I really wanted something I could get up close to with. So hopefully this is going to work out a little bit better. Anyway, this will be called the Corrupted Fountain, and will be listed right alongside the regular fountain on the website. And as a final feature for this video, this is a modified board for the same customer as the fountain. This is a modified Martian pond board. So the Martian pond is very similar to the verdant pond in that it's just cut into the board and then features a water effect, but he has a board set that I've modified that features the ash waste color scheme, which I believe I showed a mine opening for in an earlier video, and he wanted to add this to the set, so I've painted it to match that. And he also requested that the water be sort of a sewage feel, something a bit more stagnant and rotten. So what I did is I went in and I did a very, very dark green color. And then I overwashed it with a bit of a black tint in a second coating of resin. And it's given it this very, very deep, dark green that has some real depth to it. And then I've gone in and I've added in some vegetation into the resin to give it that look of algae growing or some other kinds of fungal or mat-like vegetation coming in and taking root in this vial outlet. And then I have added in just a simple pipe, just to give it that sense that, perhaps this is a discharge from another location, and they just decided we're just going to dig a hole and run a pipe to it and have it just pour into it. Something really simple that I could do without adding any, again, real cost to the project, and gives me a chance to actually experiment with a little bit of rusting effects. And I really feel like I've got a lot more to learn about rust, but I'm going to keep working on it. I think some of the things on here worked really, really well, but I also saw some places where a little room for improvement will be definitely worth investigating. So that's something that you'll see in future projects. In fact, the board set that I have been working on for quite some time, which will be in this ash waste scene theme, will have some accompanying buildings that feature Herstart's industrial molds and pipeworks. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of this coming up in the very near future. Anyway, again, just another modification of an existing piece on TerranScapes that's pretty easy to do, easy to request, and doesn't add any extra cost. So keep that in mind as you're looking at TerranScapes products. That's one of the things you get when you go through TerranScapes, is you get individual attention, individual customability, and the ability to bring your terrain to meet your edge of reality. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video and the new camera and the new intro, and be looking for some other videos coming out soon of some of the new products that I have been working on for quite some time. Anyway, thanks for looking, and I'll talk to you later.